What's good, you guys? So, this morning I was thinking that I've had many moments in my life in the period where I've been awakening, I guess you could say, that there's been these few moments that I feel were very life changing for me in terms of having this realization. And I remember this one particular time where I was just seeking for something outside of me, seeking that the answer, thinking that someone else had my answer or something was going to be just the end all be all for me to finally get it. And I remember there was a period when I just stopped seeking, I stopped looking, I stopped trying. I just was so over it. And I had this realization one day when I was on a walk, and it just dawned on me that it takes so much effort, and I mean like all of your effort, to not be who you truly are. When you think about it, it takes so much effort to convince yourself that you are not already it, that you are not already perfect, that you are not already whole and complete and born with everything that you've needed in order to realize your desires. And when you really think about it, I just mean, just really think about this with me, because it takes so much analyzing, so much looking at the world, at the 3D, adding in and stringing all these moments together, really getting yourself locked into a story of continuity and convincing yourself that this is not perfect enough, that I'm not perfect enough, that I must be more. And that I have to change, and then I have to do something to prove that I'm worthy so I can have that, because being is just so simple. It's so simple. Just allowing yourself to be, your desires to come to you effortlessly. That's why when you realize, when you just stop and your manifestation just appears, it's kind of like a mind fuck, because it's like, what? It just happened that effortlessly. And you have to think about it, because you really have to deceive yourself, manipulate yourself to believe otherwise. You have to constantly be creating odds with others and yourself to maintain this illusion that this is not it, that this is not enough. And do all of this separation, all of this constantly watching the 3D and anxiety and all this stuff that you put on yourself. You do all of that to only turn around and then convince that version of yourself, well, try to convince that version of yourself that it must now do something about all of that you've projected onto it. That this version now must jump through hoops. It must convince others to love you. It must affirm the right words. After you've beat that version down continuously by saying that this is not good enough, you need to be more, you need to do more. And when it doesn't believe you, then you disprove of it and you reject it. Then you reject the world and then you buy into more separation. And then you think that somewhere or something outside of you is going to be the answer. And then it's, maybe I'll become a millionaire. And then this version will be good enough. I'll change careers. Then the world will somehow treat me like I want. I'll move cities and start over, and then I'll be okay. And I'm saying this is all the things that I've said before, too. So listen, I'm not picking on you guys. I'm just having a real ass conversation with you today. And it's really not realizing that when you do those things, you still carry you everywhere you go. You still carry your true nature everywhere you go, and the belief about who you are everywhere you go. So to seek temporary forms, anything that changes outside of you to be the answer, may bring a slight joy for a time, but refusing to acknowledge that it's always been you, that it's always been you that was more than enough, your true nature. Once that shininess of the new wears off, you're right back to beating up on that version of yourself that you've created. And now it's not good enough. The new city is not good enough. The money is not good enough. And then you're still having the same results from the past career in your new career. And I want you guys to realize, when you think that there is a separate you that will somehow be the one, it will be the one to get it right. You're always going to be on the hamster wheel. And I've heard this quote before where it says, worship the creator and not the creations. And I really love that. And then there's this other, little saying, and I know we've all heard this before, and it says, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? And there's many answers to this, but the right answer for me is the chicken is the egg. So think about it. The creation and the creator are one, but the creator is greater than its conception. So again, to dissolve a problem is to look at God, at the creator, and see that I am, your true nature, is more than enough. The essence that you are is more than enough. And I was thinking about this yesterday, and I find the hardest thing for us to do is to realize that we're free now. And when you're not vested in this seeking on how to make this separate self be what it can never be, when you stop adding to that story, when you stop looking to string all these moments together, when you take your attention off of it, where does it go? It vanishes because it cannot remain without the creator feeding it. And if you could really see that the ego has this need to fix you, to fix your SP, to fix your money, to fix an outer circumstance, everything. It's always needing you to follow it in order for its existence to remain in control. It always hijacks the present moment when you're just being, because it just needs a story, needs you to run on a hamster wheel for it to survive. So I want you guys to realize it will never be one specific individualized version of you that will be the end all be all. That would be considered that final boss, that it's like, when I finally become that version, this is it. It's always your awareness of abiding as I am. And this is prior to any manifested experience or any identity. So if you identify with and as the only constant, and just see that you are peeking through one fraction or section off version of you for a moment, and then you'll choose another, you're no longer attached to needing something to be one way. There's no need to fix any one of these versions to change. You just put the lens or goggles of that version that you no longer prefer down and choose another version of you to experience. The problem in seeking remains if you fully believe that you are this separate character and not the observer of the character. And I once heard someone say that we are human beings, but we have become human doings. And I really think that that sums it up, because being who you are, who you naturally are, is so easy. There's an ease. There's a certain easiness and effortlessness to it. There's no trying and no striving. And again, you guys, this is not to say that there will be no doing, but allowing yourself to be what you desire to be naturally arises out of that, arises the ease of doing without attachment. But the thing is, and this is one thing that I really, really thought about, but the thing is, having many opinions of the version of yourself that you're currently playing, thinking, if I could make this better, and opinions about the way that that character thinks, makes the illusion dense and heavy. And to me, that's the thing about giving meaning to every single thing. And I think one of the things that really changed for me is I stopped giving meaning to every single thing. Everything doesn't need to have a certain meaning to it, because everything is fundamentally neutral until you add a certain context with it, right? So to me, that's the thing about giving meaning to everything, especially if it's something unwanted. And if you didn't have that opinion about it or a specific way that you thought about it, it would easily pass from your awareness. But the moment you give a meaning or added context to a thing, it holds it into place. And then you'll spend all of your time trying to convince yourself that it needs a new meaning after you're the one doing it. So I want you guys to understand this is all a simple choice. And the problem is when you think that there's something wrong with this current version of you, that it needs to change, that's the problem. So there's nothing about who you are currently that needs to be changed. You just have to take off the lens and put on the preferred lens of the character who already is what you prefer. And this can really be easy if you truly allow it to be. And I think that's really the thing here that I'm trying to say is that there's a certain ease when you're coming from being I am and realize that you're just playing different versions of yourself that make up the one true version of yourself, which is I am. So you're just experiencing sections of yourself at any given moment. But we get so tied up in our unpreferred and say that this needs to change and I don't like this person. I don't like me anymore. So you force it to do all this stuff and you force it to be what it can never be instead of putting that version down, that old man down, and looking through the lens of it, the version that's just already that, right? But again, the problem is when you fully believe that you are one of these creations, when you believe that in the creation more than the creator, more than I am, when you identify it with the creation that you are just experiencing through this certain lens, more than identifying with the creator, this is why there's this constant seeking and this hamster wheel of feeling like I'll never get it, or this is never enough, or I'm not good enough. All right. So it takes so much effort. Again, it takes all of your effort, all the effort that you have. When you really sit back and think about it, it takes all of your effort to convince yourself that you're not it. You make up all of these things and string all these moments together and have all these opinions about what's currently happening in the 3D. And then you try to force yourself, that version, to fix it or to become better when it can never be. So, this is just a simple removal of the attention onto the preferred. So, this is why it's always a choice. That's why there's nothing that ever needs to be fixed about any version of you. Okay. It's all perfect and it's all needed because it makes up the one. It makes up I am. But identifying as I am and thinking from I am as just observing a certain experience was that game changer for me. So I just wanted to share this with you guys today. This was something I was thinking about. It was one of those moments for me that just kind of helped me stop seeking. And I think everybody comes to this sort of moment on their own. So don't feel like you have to get it right away because you think that you're supposed to get it. It just sort of just happens and you realize it. All right. So, yeah, you guys, I want to say again, thank you so much for being here this year. This year has been amazing and imagination is on your side, and I am too. Everything you need to know is down in the description box below. Oh, yeah. Also, don't forget that tomorrow on our Discord channel, our free Discord channel at 4 p.m. Central Time, we are having a live event over there. So make sure you join us for a chit chat and a few Q&A questions. All right. So I love you guys so much again, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.